It's time for all your binge-worthy pop culture news. Welcome to Up and Adam.
Hi, guys. Welcome back and happy Monday. All right, guys, I hope everyone had a beautiful weekend. We had a great weekend. So now let's just kick this week's ass. Now, welcome back to Hot Messy Topics. I just wanted to remind everyone that tonight is our members only Let's Whine About It. I pinned the link in the live chat so you can see it there. And of course, the banner at the bottom. This is where Jason and I get a little bit more personal, more relaxed. It's less about Bravo and more about things that are going on. And we want to take callers for that because it's just more of like a let's chit chat kind of situation. Jason, I don't know what's going on with him today. You guys are going to see a very relaxed Jason. He's on his own little thing, but all right. With that, don't forget to smash the like button. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. And now let's welcome Jason.
Hi.
Who is this?
What do you mean, who is this? Like, I'm sick of sitting in a bedroom. We live in Palm Beach, so I want to bring a little bit of Palm Beachness to, the background.
Is Palm Beachness a word?
Yeah, Palm Beachness.
Oh, okay.
Ask
Jason's
Ramona.
very Palm Beach today.
Ask Ramona, ask Luann, ask Tinsley. It's a
Little
thing.
do they know that
Palm
that's a green
Beachness.
screen behind you.
No, it's just not.
Oh. All right, guys. Jason looks like he's in a great mood today. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. We have so much to talk about, though. So much.
Hypocrisy.
It's so fun. Yes, hypocrisy at its finest, which I think is like the new way to get into Housewives. You have to be a complete hypocrite.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to break into all of that. And guys, we actually, thanks to some people on Twitter and Bravo Snarkside and a few other accounts, I think we've cracked the code on the feud and why Teddy Mellencamp hates Lisa Vanderpump so much. We're going to get into that. We're going to start off with Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. We have some Potomac to talk about, some Atlanta, some Vanderpump Rules. Jason, where do we start?
I think we should do like kind of a segue. We should start with Beverly Hills. Let's go into the whole Teddy Lisa situation, and then let's go into Vanderpump Rules.
Okay. All right.
We'll move on from there.
So guys,
Atlanta was spicy last night too. I enjoyed it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Atlanta. And now we're sort of getting towards the end. And of course, our finale is probably going to be She by Sheree fashion show. I'm hoping she gets the fashions, but we'll get there towards the end. Now, in the meantime, guys, we have Lisa Rinna on a tangent and she is going off on social media, but it's like, surprise, surprise. 200 in the room, guys. Smash that like button. But it's like, surprise, surprise. She went on this whole tangent and she posted, I'll get into the Kathy Hilton thing in a minute because obviously we know she hates Kathy Hilton. This is what she said. What are you all so mad about anyways? I called myself an asshole in like my second season. I believe it was this. I'm just an asshole with iconic hair and big lips. Okay. She went on to say what you will, blah, 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 but you try grieving in public. Public, not private. In public, the end. Girl, you don't have to be on a reality show.
No one is forcing you to do that or forcing you to show up at these parties where you are grieving. Like when you had the mother's belongings sent to your house the same day you went to Dorit's fundraiser, maybe not a good call. Maybe stay home in private and grieve that night. Like we've talked about this so many times on Hot Messy Topics, on our Real Housewives of Beverly Hills recaps. People lose people, and it's unfortunate. I just lost my dad, a few years ago. It's hard, but during the grieving process, I did take myself out of situations, as I'm sure many other people do. But at the same time, it did not make me a vindictive, mean person. And I don't know if she's just like bored right now because of the pandemic, and we had that whole season like focused on Erica's trials and everything like that. I don't know what's going on with her. But
do you think the reason she's showing up while she's still grieving is because they get paid per episode and she doesn't want to miss a check?
I don't know, because I know that certain housewives are on different contracts with that, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I believe all of them are now episodic, because that was Bethany Frankel's big situation of what made it easy for her to walk away from the show, because they transitioned the contracts to be per episode, and that's how they were going to pay you. And if you were taken out of an episode because you weren't that interesting or it didn't make sense, then you could lose anywhere from like $30,000 to $50,000 depending on what they're getting paid, So yeah. I think that could be part of the reason why she's showing up. But she also posted a photo, and this photo was from her Rinna beauty party, and she called it the season of hypocrisy, coming from one of the biggest hypocrites herself. I love this.
Wait, can we talk about the Rena Beauty Party? It's something I was just thinking about today. Did we see any Rena Beauty products at the Rena Beauty Party?
Oh my God.
We didn't see any. It was just a glam, like Studio 54 themed party because we already did the Rena Beauty Party before in Crystal's backyard during the pandemic.
Which I love
And
how she shades that. She's like, it wasn't like a real party. It was in like Crystal's
I mean,
backyard.
listen, you were on a very tiny rooftop with some drinks you didn't like and no product. So at least Crystal's backyard extravaganza had product, right?
And at least
I mean,
Crystal did that.
And yeah, and right, at least she offered. I mean, that gave her something to, to be focused on last season because you hardly saw Crystal unless she was mad about being locked in a room or someone coming in the room, whatever. But no, I just find it so weird because this is Lisa Rinna, and we talked about this before. I think Lisa Rinna is a very talented person. Like if she wasn't on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but a lot of the toxicity and darkness and just kind of like teams, like what it like those groups, like when you're in school and you have like, oh, you're part of that group or part of this group. This has been produced and started by Lisa Rinna.
Right. And on top of that, Rob J in the City said, notice that Rinna brings people on the show and then turns on them before the season ends. Yes, always.
When's she going to do that to Diana? I'm waiting for that.
Diana's going to be off the show before she has a chance to do that to Diana. And
Probably.
Diana has a private jet. So she's not turning on Diana anytime soon. But just like Erica had a private jet. But I want to get back into this for a second because she's calling it the season of hypocrisy. Toothless, not homeless. Homeless, not toothless. Yes. So on top of that, she went on and, well, everyone was reposting because TV Deets on Instagram, they always post the ratings. And she was like, we're the #1 show on cable. And it did come out that they were the #1 on all of cable. And Erica Girardi said, you're welcome. My face when she said that. Girl.
Yeah, not this year, unfortunately.
And she's calling it the season of hypocrisy. One thing that I don't like, and I'm starting to notice based off of the polls that we do, and with the viewers and watching Lisa Rinna, I'm seeing that people are really turning on her. They're not, and I talked to Sarah Almadani from Dubai about this, about how, I love that she brings that sort of positive energy to reality TV because right now, after going through the pandemic and seeing how the world was just like in turmoil, people don't want a lot of hate and negativity and like drama, not like really intense drama. They want light, fluffy, fun. Sure, give us some catty reads. We're here for it. Like, I don't need to make you look bad. You can do that all on your own. Yes, it's a good read, but it's not dark and like hateful. One thing I don't understand about Lisa Rinna is she has such a hard-on for Kathy Hilton, and I can't really, I can't understand it because we know that this week we're getting into the Aspen trip, and when we do, guys, 320 in the room, smash that like button, but when we do, Kathy Hilton is going to have some sort of meltdown. She's been honest about it. She talked about it at the MTV Movie Awards. She talked about it, with Entertainment Tonight, and she said, listen, I said some things out of frustration about my sister. I shouldn't have said them, and I've made it right with my sister. I've apologized. She accepted my apology. We're moving forward. Yes, did I say some awful things? Yes, I did. And we all have, well, not we don't all have, but a lot of us have siblings, and we've gone through moments with our siblings where we haven't been kind to each other. But guess what? We're family. We bounce back.
Sure.
Teresa Giudice, Joe Gorga. I don't know if they're bouncing back, but you guys get the point. Now, Lisa Rinna posted on her Instagram this: Aspen receipts. Silence is golden. Better believe I'm going to talk about it. Hi. Okay. This is my problem with this. Yes, I understand that they're on a reality show, but what is your motivation here? Is your motivation to rip apart this family? To rip apart two sisters who finally came together after skipping like a decade of Christmases? To rip apart, this family when you've already attacked Kim Richards and said that she was close to death, where her family had to see that on national television. So you're like, okay, check, she's off the show. Let me focus on Kathy Hilton. Like, now that they've been able to repair the relationship and move forward, what is your motivation to continue to try to rip into Kathy Hilton and break these two sisters apart? Like, I don't understand. It feels very hateful.
It does. And I do have to say, I think, the Faux Force 5 or whatever, they always have a target, right? Their target this season and last season is definitely Sutton. But then Air Force One, which is going to be or faux force one, we can call her whatever, Lisa Rinna, always has another target. And her target right now is Kathy Hilton. And for whatever reason,
And Sutton's track.
well, yes. I mean, but that's, she does that with the group, right?
Right.
So she only does it around the group, because when she sits down with Sutton, they have very different conversations than she does with the faux force 5. So I don't know what it is or what
called.
What are they called?
I think it's the
faux force 5,
faux 4,
faux fur 4, 4, because there's not another, right? Was there a fifth?
I don't know. It was,
I don't know.
Teddy, Dorit, Lisa Rinna, Erica, Kyle Richards. 5.
Oh, Kyle's like flip-flopping, so it could be like 4.5. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I want to address this. What do you think about this? Josie said, so Kathy is going to get away with her behavior just because none of you's like Rinna. Listen, I'm not saying that. I'm saying they are sisters. They are family. Family fights. She's already addressed. I said awful things out of frustration. And when I said them, I went to my sister and I apologized for the awful things that I said. At that point, if the sisters have decided, okay, like, let's make amends, and I accept your apology, Kathy, for what you said. I wish you wouldn't have said that, but I do accept your apology and I want to move forward. Then what dog do you have in this fight to be posting Aspen receipts coming your way?
Well, I know that even, was it Kathy who said, I don't know what they're actually going to show and what they filmed or what they caught on camera? So we don't know exactly what's going to be seen, but I'm curious to know, I mean, what's going to be said, and how, because remember, they always build us up. Like, Lisa is the queen of this too. She build us up with something and it turns out not being that big of a deal. We've also been built up with, like, fake stories coming out about what Kathy said or what Lisa said or what Kyle said, like, it's all been like built up. So I'm wondering what it actually is and what those receipts are going to reflect.
Right. And Joe Mendoza, did Kyle confirm that everything is good with them, with Kathy? Yes, she confirmed that on Watch What Happens Live, and Kathy confirmed it with Entertainment Tonight, E! News, and also MTV when she was doing, walking the carpet and doing press.
This will make it really interesting going into the reunion, by the way.
Yeah, but, and I think Kathy, she needs to gear up, because Kathy, the difference, they are two totally different, people. Yes, we all have moments of weakness or where we lash out and we say some awful things, especially like if you're in a relationship, if it's your family, your friends, you have moments where you fight. That's a given. It's not always going to be good as gold. Shout out to you, Sheena. Good as gold all the time. But, when it comes to Kathy in the press, like when she's talked in the press about Lisa Rinna, because people have asked her, they're trying to get it out of her. Like, what do you think about Lisa Rinna? Have you guys spoken? She's like, I haven't really spoken to her. And, like, if I see her, okay, maybe I'll speak to her. She's like, I have nothing bad to say about her. And I think that I'm hoping that she was trying to come out of a place of love for Kyle, because she's really good friends with Kyle. I think that she also really likes me, and she was trying to have us address something that I said. She could have just trashed Lisa Rinna's name, because Lisa Rinna posted that Kathy Hilton was a homophobic, narcissistic racist. She also posted things about her daughter, Paris Hilton, while also getting pissed off at Garcelle for addressing Amelia's eating disorder. What?
Whew. So it is, certainly hypocrisy. Certainly.
I mean, listen, let's see what people are saying. Rinna is just trying to be relevant. Hey, oh my God, I have that song Good as Gold in my head now. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that to you.
I know it's going to be there for like a week.
Yeah. Kyle can be a better sister because she doesn't come to their defense on the show. And that's another thing that kind of frustrates me with Kyle, watching Lisa Rinna. Like, if Lisa Rinna and Kyle are such good friends, why wouldn't you ask Lisa, like, hey, can you tone it down? That's still my sister. Like, especially, I'm not saying on the show, we need a show. We need drama on the show. People have to hold each other accountable, right? We get that. We know how the show works. But you don't necessarily, it's not in your contract to go label someone with the most horrific labels on social media and let it get picked up all over the press, because Kathy Hilton is still a Hilton. It's Paris Hilton's mom, so people are going to pick up on it. It was all over Page 6. I don't have to go through the media outlets, but it was
Paris
everywhere.
Hilton's mom, or is Paris Kathy's daughter?
At this point, maybe Paris is Kathy's daughter. Kathy could have said that Kim told me about the husband, Lisa. She also, She could have said that. She can go below the belt if she wants to. I'm sure. Listen, Kathy runs in these social circles. She knows things, right? And people are wondering, will this be mentioned, what was said on the show? We don't know if it will be mentioned, what was said on the show, and it was not recorded. The cameras were down and they were not mic'd. That's why when you see the confessionals, it's not this week's episode, it's next week's episode. But when you see the confessionals, it's like Diana and Garcelle and a whole bunch of the different women, and they're like, I've never seen this side of her, and it was wild. But we're not going to hear what she actually said. I'm sure what we're going to have is Lisa Rinna tease it and say, no, Kathy, you need to tell Kyle what you said. I don't think that it'll be aired. I think what's going to happen is Lisa Rinna is going to drop that bomb of what was said in her Aspen receipts at the reunion. I just really hope Kathy Hilton comes to the reunion like with a surprise that nobody sees coming.
I know, same. And I just would love to be like an employee at Staples watching the housewives come in, deciding if they're going to use a binder, a manila folder. Like, how are they going to showcase these receipts? Like a project board? I don't know. It's just ridiculous. Imagine? There's always receipts. I do have to agree with Shan, just posted in the chat. Rinna is terrible, but I can't watch Beverly Hills because of her. And honestly, sometimes it's so... like, she's so angry. What did she say to Denise, right? Oh, you're so angry.
You're so angry.
You came off that way when you were yelling at Sutton. It's just hard to watch that much like aggression. And I hate to use that word, but it's aggressive, and it's coming off aggressive, and her social media is coming off aggressive. And I know that someone is grieving, then stay off social media. Don't go to the party when you're grieving and you just got your mother's belongings sent to your house, after she passed. Put yourself in the situation, but you signed up for a reality show, so you can't say I'm grieving in public, not private, and I'm allowed to lash out, because I still had to go back to work after my dad passed. My mom had to go back to work after my dad passed. Everyone has to move on and deal with it in a certain way, but that didn't give me the excuse to go back to work and start yelling at people and taking my aggression out on them. And that's exactly what we're seeing.
You did kind of the opposite. You leaned into the staff and just like, we're trying to like find as many happy moments or like moments of laughter as you possibly could. You were not like a tyrant when you could have been, but someone has a wild card in their pocket. I would love, could you imagine all of a sudden, Lisa Rinna pulls out these Aspen receipts, because now she's already showed her hand. Kathy knows what she said. So Kathy now knows that Lisa Rinna is coming to the reunion and she's going to say what she said. But could you imagine all of a sudden Kathy's like, when Andy says, Kathy, what do you have to say about that? She's like, excuse me, can you dim the lights? And then pulls out like a screen comes down and she's like, Exhibit A. And it's like photos of like Harry Hamlin or something. Or God. Who knows?
Who knows? I don't, just bring on Kim Richards just for the reunion and let her show some receipts.
Or maybe that could be the surprise. Like, excuse me 1 second, Andy, before I answer that. Kim? Kim. And she like walks out and you hear the clicking of the heels. Yes.
Good Lord. I mean, great moment. Okay, speaking of hypocrisy, we have to move on to the whole Teddi Mellencamp, Lisa Vanderpump drama, because this is hypocrisy at its finest.
Guys, thanks to Bravo Snarkside and some of the tweets that have been out there, of almost 450 in the room, this has been completely decoded, and it is wild. I want to bring this up really quick, only because, this is... I mean, you can start it off, Jason, while I'm bringing it up. But
okay, but really quick, guys, 450 in the room. Go ahead and smash that like button. You put 450 in like a sentence, Adam. I didn't know what you were saying. So, no, listen. So before, big shout out to TV Deets and also Bravo Snarkside. They're great accounts to follow. So much fun. Besides doing Adam's polls in the community, you can also go to TV Deets has great polls. I love voting on them every day. It's just kind of fun. But this is crazy because I don't know how to start it.
I mean, okay, I'll get into it.
Get into it, because then I'm going to pipe in with the information I know.
All right. So Teddi Mellencamp was talking on Two T's in a pod. When she was talking about the fact that, I don't know why people are going in on Lisa Rinna and not offering her more compassion because she's grieving. She said, when we were on the show with Lisa Vanderpump and she lost her brother, that, we were annihilated for not offering her more compassion. And then she went on to say, disgustingly, Lisa Vanderpump didn't even like her brother. She didn't even have a relationship with her brother, which is absolutely not true. Take it from here.
Well, it's not true. She also went to say that no relationship with her brother. When her brother did pass, her brother's sons, she took care of her brother's sons, her nephews. They came over to LA, and she took very good care. They're very close.
They lived with
the
her.
whole family. They lived with her for a minute. So it's just I'm not understanding where Teddy's coming from with this, trying to either defend Lisa Rinna on the show, or I'm not sure, because for me, Teddy seems like a social climber. Okay. That's just my opinion, because there were texts released too that she was trying to get her brother on Vanderpump Rules. Now, her brother worked with you at TomTom, and that was exactly what happened. When the show came out, he wasn't on the show. You never saw him again. He no longer worked at TomTom. And that was kind of the same moment where Teddy kind of turned on Lisa Vanderpump on the show.
Yeah, I have to bring this up now. Okay, so the text that Jason's talking about, this is Teddy's brother, HUD. I worked with HUD Mellencamp at TomTom, okay? This all makes sense, and now I'm starting to realize why Teddy does not like Lisa Vanderpump. So let me just share this screen really quick. You guys are going to freak. This all makes so much more sense now. Right here. So let me pause it. Right here. Also, never forget why Teddy cuddled up to LVP in the first place. Staples Center. But yeah, girl, I don't know. I've got my cowboy boots ready to go. Also, Hannah wants to know if your brother is single. She said, yes, my brother is single and ready to mingle. And then she said, how old and why have you not set him up with me? That's what Hannah said. She said, because I am booked up trying to get his ass on Vanderpump Rules first. Hashtag always slinging. So now we've realized what happened here was, let me stop sharing this. What happened here was Teddy Mellencamp was trying to get her brother HUD on Vanderpump Rules. Vanderpump Rules started filming before Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So when she was trying to get her brother on, her brother was actually a barback at TomTom and sometimes a busser. He was a really cool guy, but I don't know how they would have integrated him into the show because he wasn't friends with any of them, which would have made it like less authentic, kind of like Charlie Burnett on the show. 500 in the room, smash the like button. But she was trying to get her brother HUD on the show. Now, what people don't realize is, yes, Lisa has a huge influence on who goes on the show and gets kicked off the show. She can't save everyone, just like she didn't want Stassi to be fired, and the network decided, no, she has to be fired. But she also doesn't have the final say in who is hired, because there are higher-ups and they review. And when you go through the interview process, it's not one, not two, it's multiple interviews. You go through this process, and there are people who sit around a table and they're like, this is our shoo-in. This is a person that would be great on the show. So really, it might not have even been Lisa Vanderpump who said, you know what, HUD's not going to work, because Lisa loved HUD, if you remember correctly. And then, I mean, she always talked to him. She was always so sweet to him. So what happened was Vanderpump Rules started filming. Teddy realized that HUD was not going to be on the show. And then a month later, they started filming Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And when they did, Teddy was like, oh, okay, you're not putting my brother on the show? I'm going to turn on you. It seems like revenge. This is total retaliation on Teddy's part. That's why she turned on LVP. That's why she went on to, remember she was with the Jon guy, Jon Snow or whatever. From
Jon Snow. Are you talking about Game of Thrones?
No, what's his name? I don't know.
John Sessa from Vanderpump Dogs.
Yeah. From Vanderpump
John
Dogs.
No.
I don't know.
Sorry, guys. We just watched House of Dragon last night. So Adam's brain is like Game of Thrones right now.
It's all over the place. But that's why she became friends with John Sessa and the other John, the shady one, who ended up revealing text messages between him and Teddy when they were trying to make this whole puppy gate seem like Lisa Vanderpump planted a story. She made up her mind in her head when HUD was not cast on Vanderpump Rules, she was going to turn on Lisa Vanderpump in an attempt to secure her spot on the show.
Exactly. And that backfired completely. And this is where, I mean, this is where I'm saying like social climber. It's like, what are you going to do to make it work? You know, so HUD was a great person in person. Like we met him, we knew him, great person, but HUD was a dud for Vanderpump Rules. And that's just what happened. And what can you do? Now, my thing is, I know there's more to this that I wanted to say, but So 2T's in the pod, she said this. Later, Tamra came out on Twitter and said, I don't know what happened that season or whatever, but I love you, Lisa Vanderpump, and I'm sorry for your loss. Is that Tamra doing damage control? And is Teddy, because Teddy is relevant, very relevant right now. We talk about her all the time. She's gone from boring Teddy to like, we talk about Teddy all the time. Do we want to talk about Teddy? Not really. But she is relevant. That doesn't mean it's a good thing. But what is Tamra going to do? Is she doing damage control here? And is she going to stay doing this podcast? Because how is this going to affect when Teddy goes out and says things like this on the podcast when she's filming again on The Real Housewives of Orange County?
Well, like you said, Tamra Judge put out, I don't know the backstory of what happened during that season of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I was just stating that I remember the passing of her brother. I love you, Lisa Vanderpump, and sorry for your loss. And Lisa said, thank you. And then Teddy went on and she filmed a video. And in the video, you can see where she's like telling people or asking people, oh God, cancel this. But she was saying, listen, I'm receiving death threats and people are attacking me. Lisa Vanderpump got exactly what she wanted,
but she didn't ask for this. And she hasn't been mentioning the show while she has not been on the show. She doesn't want to go back to the show, but Lisa Vanderpump lives rent-free in everyone's head on that show. When they bring her name up at any capacity, when Garcelle said, my son is now working for someone that you guys know, and they brought up her name, they just, it's cringy to watch, but it's so funny how relevant Lisa Vanderpump is, more relevant than Diana Jenkins and half of the other people on the show.
Well, technically Diana Jenkins, it just came out that she's tested as like the lowest, like least interesting housewife on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills ever. Adam, did you know about Dwight and
Only
Taylor?
Second to Housewife 100.
Did you know about Dwight and Taylor Armstrong? Yes. That's how Dwight first came on the show, was through Taylor Armstrong. Then he kind of cozied up to Lisa Vanderpump, and now we see him with Kathy Hilton. But he also, to be fair, he does run in these circles.
Been friends with Kathy for a long time, though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Him and his husband, they do run in these circles. I mean, they're with a lot of housewives and celebrities all the time. I mean, I don't know why he was
crazy. It's just crazy to me. It's like, this is what you want. This is the attention and the relevancy you want. Like it's, I don't know what what is Teddy Mellencamp's game here? Is she trying to get back on the show?
That was your question. Is this going to be bad for Tamra? Listen, the problem is with Teddy, like she went on and Kelly Dodd is slamming PK Maurizio for playing that game of like, which wife would you rather at the charity, right? And she said, these two guys are pigs. But then you have Teddy on the show and she's like, listen, it's just a game. It's okay. And she's always defending the Fox Faux 5, just like she was defending Lisa Rinna. And it just comes off very biased, where Tamra comes in, and I think she's a good balance. But the problem here is like moments like this, it doesn't look good for Tamra. When Teddy's like saying these awful things about Lisa Vanderpump and her brother who is now deceased, it doesn't look good. And for Tamra, she doesn't even need this podcast anymore, because now I bet you anything she's commanding over
Heather Dubrow
has
a podcast, and she does talk about housewives occasionally, but she is talking with herself. She's not a co-host. This is the Heather show. It's always the Heather show, on and off the podcast, it looks like. But with this, it's like, okay, Tamra goes back. Let's say some drama unfolds on Real Housewives of Orange County, and Teddy starts speaking up or piping up about something or her opinion or getting nasty. What does that do? Like, does Tamra like check out for a second, or maybe find a new T? Put Taylor Armstrong on it, or put someone.
Don't do that. Sheila, you know who Dwight is related to, right? No,
I do not.
I do not. But we would love to know. Okay. Didn't Rinna recently apologize for how she treated Lisa? She said that now that she's gone through the grieving process, she understands what Lisa Vanderpump was going through. She didn't give like a clear, I apologize to Lisa. No.
God, there's no handbook to deal with grief. 100%. I'm just saying, in my experience, and I've lost two people who are very close to me in the past, less than 4 years. And it's very, very difficult, but it doesn't give anyone the right to go lash out at people. And that is not really how I felt. And that's, a lot of people seem to agree in the comments, in the chat. Like, this is not a reaction of loss.
I mean, I don't know. Like, Shan is saying, like, I don't think 2Ts will last. That podcast won't last.
I don't think so either, to be honest. I think Tamra's going to jump ship as soon as she starts, as soon as the show starts airing.
Yeah. Gabrielle said, hey, Vicky Vicky needs a platform, so she's going to go to the podcast. Actually, Vicky Gumbelson is starting a podcast with Kelly Dodd.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. But let's segue for a minute. We just wanted to give you our little conspiracy theory. Palmer bingo, Sheila said. Who's Palmer bingo?
No, she said bingo. It's Natalie. She's replying to Natalie Palmer. Sorry, guys.
Oh.
No,
Wait.
so Black Girls Code says there's nothing wrong with Teddy defending her friends. You applaud Garcelle for doing it, though. I can't with the hypocrisy. The thing is Teddy is not defending anyone here. Teddy is going after Lisa Vanderpump. It's totally different.
Yeah, and
It's
that's
totally
not
different.
And also, to be fair, Garcelle is defending Sutton and not really, and she's explained it, and this is not hypocrisy. She's explained why she has a problem getting close to Erica. One, she actually is a liability. And two, the way that she was so nasty last season, she's like, I don't really think that that's someone who can exhibit that kind of behavior. I don't think that's someone I would want to be friends with. Just like she now keeps Lisa Rinna at an arm's length because she saw how she treated Denise, which makes sense. She's like, I see you guys. I see exactly how you operate. And Garcelle's a classy woman. She doesn't operate that way.
Yeah.
But let's segue over to this, because now on Vanderpump Rules, we have big things happening this week. I believe it's on August 26th is the wedding. But Sheena is getting married to Brock, and it looks like everyone's showing up, including Kristen Doty, Jax Taylor, and Brittany Cartwright. We have Raquel there.
I'm Nikki.
And apparently Lala Kent, which I would not have expected that.
But we have some other people there too.
Who?
Don't we?
Jax
Aren't there
Taylor.
other
Well,
people?
my question was, would Jax, Brittany, and Kristen be able to be on camera if they were fired from the show?
I don't know. I don't know how that would work out. But I mean, Jax and Brittany weren't like canceled like Stassi, right?
Right.
So maybe they could be. I mean, you don't see Stassi at the wedding. Not that she would go, but you know what I
Katie
mean.
Maloney didn't go either.
Yeah.
But I feel like Katie Maloney didn't go out of like an allegiance to Stassi.
Right.
So
So
she was
interesting.
like, I'm not going to that Cancun wedding.
I think though, I think it's going to be a fun wedding to watch because I didn't like Jax and Brittany's wedding. It wasn't fun for me to watch.
I just don't like Jax.
We know. Let's see. But I really think the finale of Vanderpump Rules is going to be that transition into the Tom and Tom spinoff.
Yeah, because originally we were talking about this, saying that we thought that the finale of Vanderpump Rules was going to be Sheena's wedding.
The wedding. Yeah,
It's
the
clearly
wedding.
not.
But we've had finales that are weddings before, so I think that is done. And now we're going to transition the show. But what does that mean for Vanderpump Rules? Okay, because I said last season I was completely wrong. I'm eating my own words that season 9 was the season of completion. But I feel like a decade is a really good time to complete something because what else are we going to watch? You know, Sheena already has a kid. I
It's
love
like-
watching Sheena and
come full
Brock
circle.
and Tom, but I'm like, where else are we going to go? With the Toms, they have a new business, which kind of features how Vanderpump Rules started and bringing in a new cast and watching the next generation while the older generation is teaching the next generation how to come into the spotlight of being on a reality show and working in a restaurant,
No.
pursuing your dreams or whatever the hell. But what is the original cast going to offer to keep them on the air? Or do you think this is going to be the last season?
I don't know, because Jersey Shore should have been done like forever ago, and they all have families now, and now it's like Jersey
And
Shore family vacation, and they keep them coming.
you know.
So they could keep it coming and segue it into like a more adult version of the show where they all still kind of hang out, they're friends, and they might even bring Jax or Kristen back after canceling them and trying to give them a retry, whatever. The problem is I know for a fact that Evolution Media is, right now they're in the casting process for the Tom's new show, or they have been over the last few months. And if you're casting, that's not why Vanderpump Rules was successful. Vanderpump Rules was successful because they were already like this little incestuous friend group that slept with each other, knew each other, they were roommates, and it was authentic. So if you bring on new people and it's just a bunch of people that don't know each other, it's going to be very different.
Yeah, it's either going to work out because they have this new, they're starting at a new restaurant, starting a new job and being integrated into a group that they have to work closely together, or it could backfire. And since they have no energy and no chemistry, it could just be a dud.
Yeah, and the thing is a lot of times, like, it's like if you go back to Laguna Beach, when we had the original Laguna Beach, it was successful. Then they tried to do it with like some of the younger siblings and do it again, and it became a dud. We had the Hills was successful. Then they just tried to revamp it and bring it back. It's a dud. Now they're bringing it back with a whole new cast of younger 20-something-year-olds, and it's supposed to be the Hills like revived. It will be a dud. I mean, we need new concepts. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. I'm interested in the Tom and Tom spinoff though. And we were talking about that a while ago. Last year we were covering Vanderpump Rules. We talked about a possible Tom spinoff. And it was originally, they were trying to decide if they wanted to do the spinoff at Tom at the time. But with Schwartz and Sandy's opening, this is a whole different kind of opportunity. So,
and it doesn't take money out of Lisa and Ken's pockets because it's not affecting their restaurant
at all. And I wonder what kind of role Lisa would play in Schwartz and Sandy's, if at all. And I'm sure she will.
Coaching them to be like leaders within their business. I mean, she will play a role. She's not walking like Lisa loves, I remember her talking about how sometimes like the filming process would be exhausting, but she does love, filming and being around people. She loves to work. She works nonstop. She does not stop. Or even when she's dining out at her restaurants, like if you see her, she's everywhere. She's like watching everything. She catches things. Like her and Ken both, they work. So
they see everything too.
Yeah, they see everything.
I think everything.
They enjoy working. Do you remember sometimes like it would be complete chaos, like the restaurant's packed, and then she'd be like, Jason, what is that over there? What's going on? And you're like, oh fuck, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But that's what I mean. Listen, she's a mentor. Yeah, I think that's exactly what.
100%. I mean, listen, there is something that Lisa Vanderpump does better than no other restaurateur, and that is ambiance, visual. I mean, when you walk into a Lisa Vanderpump restaurant, you really do feel like you're walking into a whole nother world. And it's funny because when I was running Pump, I like the music to be loud. Some people don't like that. Lisa likes it extra loud. She wants it so you barely hear the people talking over you. It does create a nice ambiance. The lights have to be at a certain level. The music has to be at a certain level. And you have to pace it by how many people are in the restaurant. You can be blasting music if there's like 5 people at the bar. You know what I mean?
What was that? The music that you would always play?
Oh, I mean, that's older. That's like when Sir first opened. They would all play Hotel Cost. Yeah.
Hotel Cost? Yeah.
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 Okay. Like Buddha Bar, something like.
Yeah, I mean, I always
2000s posh.
And then it was like when they would leave, remember like Richardson would be like, okay, change the music, and it would come on and it would be like pop or something. And then
you got to remember, because you're in West Hollywood, right? So you're in Boys Town. So after dinner is over and it's just bar and lounge, you need something else to bring in the crowd. After that. I mean, especially Pump was right next door to the Abbey. So we're competing with the biggest gay bar in the world after 10:30, 11 p.m., Yeah.
So. And not to mention too, it's kind of genius to make the music so loud. Like I remember where people would be like, we can't hear each other sometimes. And this was way like forever ago at Sir. And I would be like, that's probably the point. They want you to eat, drink, get out. Like, don't be don't sit in the seat for all night.
Do you know who is doing really well? And I don't mean to like jump subjects here or change thoughts. Is Marissa Hermer and her husband are like sharks when it comes to the restaurant industry, especially in LA.
Yeah.
Well, in London they had Bumpkin, which I've been to before I knew like who she was. That was awesome. And they had a big club that was always like on the front page of every like Daily Mail and stuff, where all the royals used to go. I think it was called Bougie in London. But in West Hollywood, they have Olivetta, which, Beyonce frequents all the time. They have Isima, which is on top of the Lapeer Hotel, which is freaking stunning. It's amazing. Yeah. And then also in the Palisades, they have the Draycott, which is that like London kind of dining. She needs a show by herself, because I would love to see how she runs those restaurants, like her and her husband running that restaurant group. I thought they were testing something, Marissa Hermer.
Yeah, but she's not listen, I think that her and her husband are great with business and stuff, but she's not as interesting as LVP. Like, it wouldn't be.
No, I'm not saying that. It would be definitely a different side and a different whatever. I mean, she has, I think, 3 kids who are of age, like growing up like pretty fast. I would love to revisit Marissa Hermer. And I said I would love to revisit Caroline Stanbury when you first interviewed her, and you were like, why am I interviewing Caroline Stanbury? She was on like Ladies of London a million years ago. And then guess what? 2 years later, She is on the Real Housewives of Dubai. I see something for Marissa Hermer. As I'm getting like
I interviewed her
I'm getting
too.
like
Remember?
yeah, it was a
Yeah.
good interview because during the pandemic she was supplying a lot of meals to like the fire department, to the hospitals, and first aid, first response workers working on COVID during that time.
Yeah. Johnny Tsunami, sure, go by Sir, but Pump and Tom Tom, like Tom Tom is stunning and Pump is, I mean, I would go to Pump or Tom Tom. But that's just me. And I've worked in almost all of them.
All of the employees go to the other ones too. So,
yeah. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about last night, guys. Over 620 in the room. Smash that like button. Show some love. We got our Real Housewives of Atlanta last night, and we had some moments where people are going wild on Twitter and they are slamming Sonia Richards-Ross's husband for standing up and shutting Kenya down. I wanted to pick your thoughts. We'll go through the whole recap of the episode, but what did you think when, Kenya and Sonia, they're going back and forth, and then all of a sudden her husband stands up and is like, "Don't f- with my wife." What were your thoughts?
I mean, this was I to be honest, I don't think the timing was right. I love Kenya. I love Kenya stirring the shit. I love twirl. Like, I'm all in. Okay. This was the inappropriate time to call someone a bad host. And I thought it was rude and disrespectful, and it got a little out of control, and he didn't like it. And he's also one of the hosts. I don't think because he stood up and said that, you use the excuse of, well, I don't have a man next to me. Like I don't think that's what, do you know what I mean?
I think he gets murky when the husbands get involved. But I think he saw, like he said in his confessional, he said, "I saw my wife drowning, and if my wife is drowning, I'm going to jump in and save her." And I see where he was stepping up to be a good husband, but it does get murky when the husbands get involved. And it was like you handed Kenya the ammo to say, "I felt like that came, like I was nervous. I was scared. I don't have a husband there to defend
But are we
me."
going to say the same thing about Todd to Marlo?
Well, he literally pointed that out in the episode. He's like, "There we go.
Yeah.
If I would have said something," Candy's like, "My point." Because Marlo is like, "Can you please not?" He's like, "Can you guys leave my fucking name out of your mouths?" And she's like, "You don't have to cuss at me, Todd." And Candy's like, "This is my point of why the husband should not get involved, because he's just saying something. It's like you're not attacked here."
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
listen,
I mean,
Ross
I
was
didn't
wrong to
get
get
that.
up and address the women.
I know that. Yeah. And I do see where that comes from, but I did think it was just like poor timing, poor reaction. Poor timing on Kenya's part, poor reaction on his part. But I mean, I probably would have done the same thing if I was in his position.
And listen, Kenya knows what she's doing. She's a very seasoned housewife. She is playing with, Sonia. She's obviously, you can see the way that she's navigating it. She's showing up late. She's hanging up the phone on her. Like, the editing said it all. She's like, "Girl, get out of my face." When she was like, "Can you please just try to make this situation work with Marlo? And can we fix this?" She's like, "Get out of my face. Goodbye." Like, Kenya has been very dismissive of her, and she knows she's the new girl. And I feel like she's hazing her a little bit. But at some point, when you poke and poke and poke someone, they're gonna back into a corner.
But okay, let me bring up Mocha Rain. Hi, Mocha, by the way. I just want to bring this up really quick. If he didn't say anything, sitting up for his wife, would people be hating on him for saying nothing? It's a lose-lose either way. That's kind of how I feel about it. Like,
that's true.
At least he's going to be safe at home. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. Just don't show up to filming. Yeah. I mean, listen.
Yeah. I mean, listen. Where last season I fell off Atlanta for like 2 seasons. It just got really, really boring, and the whole Bolo thing, like, I was like, this is stupid.
Well, they were filming during the pandemic, so
I get that. I understand.
Actually, all housewives during the pandemic were boring,
except Beverly Hills.
I still
we were watching
Erica.
Kind of boring. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, her life was crumbling down, and it was all over LA Times. That was a little bit different.
Yeah.
New York was boring.
New York was so boring. I like this cast. I'm actually very, I expected different from Marlo because I was really wanting her to have the peach.
Right.
And then she got the peach, as she says. And I'm not, I'm still indifferent on if Marlo belongs in the cast. I love everyone else.
I think she belongs in the cast. I think, when she's going up against Candy and she tried sitting there like painting Drew Sidor's husband, Ralph, like, "I can't believe you're not adopting the kid." I think Candy was like, "Wait a minute, there's hypocrisy."
But that was a
here.
discussion that he had with the father, correct?
It was exactly.
So it's not like it's not your choice to just go and adopt a kid, any kid you want, if they have a father.
Right. And out of respect for his biological father, the kid's biological father, he said, you know what? I'm going to be the best step parent that I can. And I still consider myself your father. We're not going to move forward with an adoption. And I get where he's coming from. And Marlo really, like she said the next morning, thank you for making me understand, helping me to understand this, Drew. Before you start going in on her husband, talk to her about it. Try to understand. And if she explains it and you still don't understand and you feel, even though it doesn't pertain to you, but this is Housewives, you still feel like you need to bring up your point, then okay. But then after she told you, after you were trying to make Ralph look like a fool, then you felt bad. And Candy was watching this like, wait a minute, you just sent your nephews to go live, somewhere else for 30 days. So what are you talking about? And Marlo was like, how dare you weaponize that and use that against me? You know what I'm going through. And Candy's like, no.
Well, it's a different situation. I mean, I don't know how I feel about this yet. I'm still dissecting it in my head because Candy had a similar situation where she took care of, one of her family members, but I think she had the means way more means to do it than Marlo, but I'm completely sure on this.
Ultraviolet said Candy should have stayed out of it. See, I disagree with that because had Ralph have said something to Marlo and clapped back, then we're going to be mad because he's a husband inserting himself in the women's business. So that's not really fair because he couldn't say anything. Yes, Drew could have stepped in, but Candy, I mean, listen, again, it's Housewives.
It's Housewives.
Right?
It's Housewives. I really, it's crazy because the first 2 episodes, and I'm talking about like Atlanta in a whole here, not just the episode, but the first like 2 or 3 episodes, I was like, I don't know if like Sonia is the right person, and I have grown to really, really like Sonia on the show. I find her life like interesting.
Yeah. I think she's good. She has conflict resolution. She gets in there. She addresses things. But one thing we can't agree on.
Yeah, this moment was not good last night.
It was kind of embarrassing for her because Kenya comes like she's there. She's clear-minded, like she's ready to read you. She sits there, and if you watch her, she's like when everyone is being, dramatic at the table, like all housewives do when they're in a group setting, she listens and she watches. And then when you say, and you, Kenya, she's like, oh, girl, I've already thought of 10 things I'm going to say in my head, and I'm about to rip you apart. So by all means, go ahead. She's definitely not the one. Like Candy even said that. Like they're going back and forth. And then Kenya was like, give me an example. And then when she said, oh, let me think about it for a second, Candy was like, you just lost this. You lost.
It is over. I mean, you do see, Kenya brought up some good points. It's like, when I hung up on the phone, we talked about that. When this situation happened, we talked about that. So now what is there to talk about? What I think was happening was Kenya's pushing buttons because she chose or didn't go to the iFit filming. She went on a boat and, this was a work trip. And Sonia made that very clear going into this girls' trip that it was also a work trip and they would be busy, right? But you had Kenya pushing, and I think Sonia was upset that like she just wanted to show the ladies her home. She wanted to show the ladies where she came from, and without any disruptance, without any complaining, without anybody being late. And I think that's what Sonia was upset about. But Sonia had also people in her ear, kind of agitating the situation.
Yeah, well, that's true too. But also, to be fair, like she is bringing you to a place where she grew up. This place, like where she was shaped into the person who she is, and she is an Olympic gold medalist. Like when she says respect that, I agree with her. Like I would be mortified if I brought you back to my hometown and like a bunch of people, and then you were like just ripping it apart or being rude. And she didn't rip apart the hometown. Kenya was not there for it. Kenya was just like, I'm going to push your buttons. She knew she was pushing her buttons. She wanted to be late. She wanted to not show up and then have the car be an issue and then go on the catamaran or whatever, go on the boat and then be like, oh no, I had a great time. We had the best time, but I'm still upset with you because you didn't tell us the correct time. It's like, no, even Candy pointed this out. Like, you had a great time. Just leave it at that. There's no problem here. Real
Oh.
Housewives of Atlanta producers were shady doing a rewind of when Kenya called Tanya inarticulate right after Kenya saying that Kenya respects articulate women. Yes.
That was shady, but was that meant? Because, like you said, Kenya is very seasoned. She knows what she's doing, and she's very quick.
Yeah.
Very quick.
Did you think it was shady that She by Sheree over here got to go to the iFit filming, even though she was late, and she said the driver got lost, and she showed up at the end, which I don't think is necessary. I think she was like, I'm not going to watch you film this all day. So I'm going to show up when I want. But she did show up. Do you think it's shady that she was invited and not Kenya when they both had a problem? Or no, did you understand where Sanya was coming from?
No, I think they both should have been invited.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you're driving
opinion.
a wedge even further at that point of not inviting her. You're showing there's a clear divide.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I'm enjoying Atlanta so much this season. I cannot wait for this She by Sheree show. I just cannot wait. The next episode looks so good when they're picking the models. I just want to see this. I don't want to say She by Sheree show.
Well, it could be good.
Shit show. It could be a shit show though, and that would be fun to watch.
Listen, the first one was a shit show because it was a fashion show with no fashions. Yes, we get that, but
we're sitting here like what 2 or 3 weeks out because we saw her talking to her business partners, and they were like, we don't have this, we don't have that. This show is what 2-3 weeks away, and there's nothing to show, right?
Right. And you know what I think the problem is here too is we can't trust Bravo editing because they leave us and they're like, it's going to be such a big thing. Just like when we thought
it's going to be like the first She by Sheree show. It's going to be a terrible mess. And watch it turn out to be like amazing. And there's some other drama.
Exactly. Like Lisa Milan's husband, when he was talking to her on Dubai, and we were like, oh, we're going to hate him. But then when we got the context and we realized what he was saying, it was like, oh my God, that wasn't bad at all. But the way it was edited was to make it look like explosive moment. Watch next Wednesday. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm excited. Ultraviolet said, I think Apollo shows up, and I think we've heard that too.
Oh yeah, he does.
That's going to be interesting. I'm excited.
And this is actually a good point too. Kenya aggravates by lack of action, not by direct action. I mean, well, she does now, because I don't know if you guys remember when she, like broke into Marlo's event going, Kenya, more hair care. That was direct action, but now it's lack of action. She doesn't give them, they want a moment from her, and she's just like, I'm not giving it to you. I think Apollo showed up. Yeah. Yep. All right. I mean, listen, Jamaica Airport KFC helped fix Candy and Marlo's fight. Let's go chicken wings. I mean, hey, whatever helps, right? Sometimes bonding over food, it works for people.
Listen, I'm just happy to have my Sunday nights back with a good cast of Atlanta.
I want Portia back.
I really?
Yeah.
I saw a rumor about that, but I don't think it's true.
Oh, she'll come back.
You think so?
100%.
Because she did leave by herself. It's not like she,
And she thought her spinoff was going to work, and it was a flop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Portia's Family Matters. That will not. I mean, if they renewed that, I think it would have been announced by now. I don't think it's coming. I think what's going to happen
now on the show, though, with the other women, especially this group of women, if you just inserted Portia with everyone else still there, great cast.
Yeah, and there's been enough time. I think Portia's main concern was coming back and filming with Simon because she didn't want any of the women to mess up her relationship, which like when you go on Housewives, it can very easily mess up your relationship. And I think Kenya and Marlo were going to rip Portia apart by the way that they were defending Fallon during the whole process. And Portia was like, I'm not going to come on here and have you guys tear into my relationship. But now at this point, nobody cares. They're getting married. Fallon's moved on. She's had a baby. Like Portia can handle if they go in on her. She's going to be like, shut up. Like, now the story has come full circle. What do you have to say? Go get a man and then talk to me about my man. That
would be a very good, I think that would be a very good decision if they just literally all you had to do is just bring her back, make that a story for next season, and insert her with everyone else. Let Marlo keep her peach. Just add one more. Bring Portia back. It's not a bad choice.
Joe Mendoza said, Up and Adam, do you know when Family Karma is coming back to our screens? I was actually talking to Bali. I talked to her back. it was April because we were doing the tour and she was filming all of May and she keeps on saying, let's get together and go down to Miami, which would
That's
be
our fault.
Yeah, that's our fault. But I'm guessing it's probably either going to be November or December. And if not, it'll be at the beginning of the new year. But I love Family Karma.
I love it. That's such an easy watch and a fun watch. That is cotton candy drama
parties that we've ever been to.
Yes. What, the season 2 premiere?
Yes.
Yeah, it was in Miami at an amazing Indian place. Drinks were definitely flowing for me. Okay, I had to like cancel
Jason
myself
was out
that
there
night.
dancing with all of the aunties, and they were like all pulling him, and I was just sitting there like, I don't know what's happening.
And then I think I passed out on the hotel room floor because it was just such a fun night, you know. And I love their culture. I love how they celebrate, whether it's birthdays, weddings. Everything is just such a joyous occasion,
and everybody was so happy.
Everyone was so happy. But that's what I'm talking about. We have shows like, you know, Beverly Hills where it's got a little too toxic, too dark.
Right.
Dubai is a little lighter, you know, as far as the drama goes, and as far as like it's very cotton candy. But Family Karma is that just nice balance.
Yeah.
So,
you know,
speaking
of balance, I feel like we cover most of the Bravo shows on here, especially when drama comes out. I think that we have some of our favorites that we like to cover more than others, right? Like, I'm not going to sit on here and talk about Summer House. I don't really care. And
I know, and you know what? Do you know, guys, listen, this is the first season I'm like really invested in Southern Charm, and now Adam like won't even watch it.
No, that's not true. We just missed this week's episode. And last night when the Game of Thrones new show came out, House of Dragon, and we were watching Atlanta straight into House of Dragon, I didn't want to like prioritize time for Southern Charm and sit in front of the TV for 3.5 hours.
This is true, but
so that's the only.
I mean, listen, the dog wedding lost me a little bit. I'm like, is that what we're doing on this whole episode?
Yeah, and I was like, this is kind of silly.
I'm still there. I'm still into it. But yeah, Summer House you'll never review.
No, and like Winter House, I'll never talk about. There are some shows like
we can talk about Winter House on Hot Messy Topics when Tom and Tom are on.
Yes, exactly. Which people still don't know that, but Tom and Tom are on Winter House this upcoming season. But surprise, Real Housewives of Atlanta, Potomac, Miami, Beverly Hills. I don't know if we'll talk about Orange County this season, maybe because Tamra's back. But those, like, yeah, I enjoy. But I have, you know, a couple people who are messaging me and they're like, Adam, you don't talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta, and you didn't talk about Robin Dixon because she just got her marriage license after 3 years. And I'm like,
no one's talking about Robin Dixon because she's boring and she's been on the show for 2 seasons too long.
Yeah. So here it goes. Since I don't talk about Robin Dixon, Robin Dixon is one of, and I don't dislike Robin Dixon. I'm thinking about Potomac. I like Giselle.
I'm talking about the show.
Yeah.
You know, like
this is Teddy Mellencamp.
Oh my gosh, like ×2, except she's not trying to be relevant and nasty like Teddy is. But I mean, like, what is now we're going to we watched this relationship drag out last season. You know, so now we have to watch it again.
I mean, we've been watching the relationship drag out for
where's the ring? Oh, we're going to get him tattooed. And we're going to, this is what we've been watching Robin do for so long. But I mean, then again, you look at it from another side and you say, we've put too much investment in her. She's been around these ladies since day one, you know, like, do we just keep her on?
It's not even, no, because there's more. Listen, Candace Diller-Bassett, she gives you that, like, whether you like her, you don't like her, you're talking about her. Karen Huger has great reads. Dr. Wendy Osefo comes in with the reads. Giselle is a pot stirrer. You know, Mia Thornton, I'm willing to give her another chance. Ashley Darby, she's also great with the reads, and now she's going through a divorce.
I think
everyone makes sense.
Great season for Ashley.
Well, and the problem is here too is she attaches herself too much to Giselle. And they depend on each other when they're ripping other people apart, as housewives do, like Elisa and an Erica, right? They depend on each other. So I would love to see, you know, Giselle have to kind of be with the group on her own without knowing I always have Robin to sit here and bounce my ideas off of, and see how she would get on with the rest of the group. It actually might make her be able to mend some of these friendships and relationships if she didn't have someone to lean on. That's how I feel about it.
That's a good point.
Let's Whine About It. Yes. N-Dub and Joe Mendoza. We're on tonight for Let's Whine About It at 7 p.m. Eastern. 4 p.m. Pacific, and the link is pinned in the live chat. For those of you guys who don't know, Let's Wine About It, now that we have over 600 in the room, Let's Wine About It is more of Jason and I getting personal. We have a lot of things to talk about, a lot of exciting things that I want to bounce off of you guys. I'm going to reveal tonight who our next big interview is with, and I want to hear what your guys' questions would be and how you even feel about this interview. And then, of course, we want to tease some other things, not really tease, but just talk about it because it is more personal. So you can go click the link to join. If you join and it's your first month and you haven't become a member yet, it's only $1.49 to join for your first month. And then we just lowered all of the prices to $2.99 for all of the months as you are a member. But we do Let's Wine About It twice a week. And then we have a vlog behind the scenes from our trip to California coming September. Go ahead.
You know, it's so fun. No, and I don't mean to jump back on the Robin thing, but like, this is the first time in a long time where you've received a lot of like nasty messages, and it all has been about not covering Robin Dixon getting married.
Which is crazy to me.
That is the one thing that you're upset about. I'm upset she's still on the show. Like,
I'm like, and it's not only that. Like, there are things that happen all the time with different housewives. The great part about being on YouTube is I'm going to pick and choose what and who and where I want to talk about things. And a lot of times, like Vanderpump Rules or Beverly Hills, it's so easy because we know the producers, we know people in the cast and behind the scenes. Salt Lake City, we know all of the women, so it's so easy to talk about. And Miami, same thing. Family Karma, it's easy to talk about. We know them. You know, it's just, it makes it more like I'm talking about something that I know about, as opposed to going on and being like, all right, guys, well, Robin Dixon got her marriage license renewed and it expires February of 2023.
End of video, because that's all the information to talk about. And there's no opinion, because you can't have an opinion because there's been nothing to talk about for 2+ seasons. So
I mean, not with Robin. Potomac, I love Potomac.
Oh, I love Potomac. I'm talking about Robin.
Yeah, that's, you know, and this season we're hearing that Candace and Ashley are going to be the breakout stars for this season, but also Giselle teased that it was going to be Karen. So listen, those are 3 dynamic women, and I love watching them. I love the reads. I love the shade. I think that they bring it. Potomac, Beverly Hills, we'll see this season of Salt Lake City. And Miami, those have to be my favorite. Atlanta is coming back with, I just want to see another person added to the cast.
Yeah, and I think we'll get that, but it's definitely like made it to my top 3, Atlanta.
Yeah. In New York, definitely. I don't even care if I never see New York again.
Because Atlanta is where I started watching Housewives. Atlanta has been my #1 show for a long time. And then it just got kind of, I don't know. The Nene departure was difficult.
Yeah, that's difficult. When I kind of, it was hard. Like, Nene was Atlanta, you know, and she would come in and she didn't care. She would rip everyone for filth. And when you think about Housewives, you think about a Nene Leakes, a Bethany Frankel, a Lisa Vanderpump. Like, there are those main figures that's who you think about. So, you know, it is what it is. New York can go to sleep. All right, Jason, with that, aside from coming back tonight at 7 p.m. for Let's Wine About It, is there anything that we missed?
No.
This was fun.
This was fun. Well, we had great topics and topics that we know about today, you know, Beverly Hills and Vanderpump Rules. I mean, that was our life for so many years. So yeah, that was fun.
Miami is going to be brutal. Yes, this season it is.
Yes, it is. And reintroducing Leah Black as a friend. What? Oh my goodness.
I don't know about that. Krista Marie, just because.
Krista.
Hey, Krista, hopefully, and guys, we will take callers tonight for Let's Wine About It. So we just wanted to get through the topics today, but for Let's Wine About It, we're just going to chill. Grab your favorite glass of wine or whatever you drink. I don't care. And just like join the fun. With that, guys, we're going to go. Jason is very relaxed with his little background. I don't know what's going on over there in his background.
I'm just feeling very Palm Beach, and like the beach is like literally right there, and I want people to have that energy. So like you're getting it through the screen. I have good energy today. I feel the good energy from everyone else. So I'm just trying to give you that Palm Beachness.
That Palm Beachness, yes. And happy Monday, Larger Curbs. I saw so many of our favorite people in here. Sarah Bahu, Elaine Hargate, Murray, Lori, Krista Marie, Joe Mendoza, Aaron D. I mean, so many people. And Aaron, we're still sending all of our love to you. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and sign out of here. Don't forget to smash that like button, get subscribed, hit the notification bell, and thank you so much for joining us for Hot Messy Topics. We have more pre-records coming your way, and we'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. Love you guys. Bye.